On Saturday, I was viciously attacked by police officers who decided to smash my artwork in the street.
Number 334! Abusing people in power, throwing people on the floor! You're on camera abusing your authority! You're on camera abusing your authority!
Get back!
You're on camera, mate!
Get back!
You're on camera number 3234! Number 3773! Number 2080! Number 2225!
I was arrested for 9 hours, spent 7 or 8 hours in Brixton Police Station, spent an hour and a half in handcuffs. Just a peaceful artist, been out on the streets for over 13, 14 years now. Completely unwarranted. They basically said I'd breached section 12, but I was clearly walking away from police that were attacking people all around me.
And we got it! And we got it! Abusing your power!
So basically I was backing out into the street and holding my artworks aloft like I've done many times before, and then one of my artworks got destroyed.
Abusing your power! You're on camera abusing your authority! You're on camera abusing your authority!
It was a vicious, brutal attack. How were the police behaving towards everybody that day before the attack?
The policing was disgusting. It was just pushing and shoving. I saw multiple people go over. I saw a lot of people like nearly hit their heads off pavements as well. It was just like, I haven't quite seen policing like that since around 2011, to be fair.
Yeah, I saw in the video that people were going down all around you getting decked, and so you walked away from the police because you were scared for your own safety, and you held your paintings up, right, to signal that you were just a peaceful protester.
It's what I've always done for like last 12, 13 years. I've been in many situations before where I know that if I hold them aloft, it kind of seems to calm the whole situation down. I'm a peaceful protester. I feel that visual image at a protest is very, very important, and that it kind of can balance people out into thinking into a different zone. Like the energy at protests can be crazy at times. You've got so many different pulls from either side, the violence from the police, the violence from protesters. I've always believed in dialogue first to get the results that both sides want. I was violently kicked to the floor, thrown to the floor. So basically this is my protest. I'm standing here protesting. So we'll see what develops, because obviously I'll get asked to move on and we'll see what develops. I want a conversation about the behaviour of TSG when I'm a peaceful protester with peaceful art. And so I will try and remain here for as long as I possibly can. I want the public to know what's happened.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can tell your abovs. The footage has gone viral. So basically I'm out here protesting, stating I'm going nowhere and that I'm coming back harder and stronger with my artworks from now on. So the Met Police need to know that when it comes to freedom of protesters and the freedom... Yeah, well I got attacked and I was thrown to the ground in the most vicious of ways. Spent 9 hours in Brixton Nick for just carrying around peaceful artworks whilst backing away from police. So it doesn't look good and I'm documenting it.
Good luck with your...
Take care. Take care.
Your art has messages of peace and love all over it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what surprised me at the protest the other day, that an image that has those words, that has a policeman meditating, actually gets attacked. And the leg sweep that destroys the painting, the painting actually saves me, because the leg sweep would have knocked me to the floor and my injuries could have been far worse than a couple of bruised ribs. They were TSG police. They're badges of a scorpion with a U on it. So basically I've got an idea now for a new artwork, and it's going to be inspired by a Prodigy album called Music for the Jilted Generation. So I'm cancerian, so there's going to be a crab holding both of their badge numbers. So that's going to be my next street piece.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like the power of art to overcome police brutality, the state, the corporatocracy. You're just taking them on and saying, no, you can't actually stop me from doing what I'm doing in any way, and I'm just going to come back stronger.
Yeah, exactly that, exactly that. Well, originally, like, this piece was actually made in respect of Ian Tomlinson's death. It was made in respect of the death of Smiley culture. So there's a lot of history there. There's another artist behind these works that has backed me to the hilt from day one, and that's a lady I have to mention, Frankie Stein. Basically, the idea was I could either throw paint at police like Black Bloc and all the other rioters out there at the time, which were running riot, whilst the peaceful peaceful protesters were getting locked down and kettled by the police, or basically throw art up at police almost like a mirror so that they think before they act, just like every protester should think before they act. The energy at protest is very different to what a lot of people imagine, and if you don't go to protest, you're not going to know until you're actually there.
Yeah, I had a very emotional reaction, as a lot of people did, when I saw the painting get smashed out of your hand like that.
As I dropped to the floor, I was still gripping on to part of my artwork, because I obviously gripped on, police ripped it away, tried to kick my feet from under me. But as I gripped onto the piece and I hit the floor, the policeman looked me in the face and then said, "He's got a weapon, he's got a weapon." And I actually said really quietly, "What are you talking about? I haven't got no weapon." And then I was explained to when I got into the van that I was still holding a bit of the frame of the painting and it had splinters on it.
It just goes to show how full of shit they are.
The reality was, I'm an artist walking around with an artwork that got torn to pieces, got destroyed in front of a lot of the public now also that have seen the videos that have come since. So
Yeah, you're possibly the first British artist at a British protest to have his art publicly
first
destroyed.
current British artist to have his art destroyed at a protest in view of the general public, yeah.
And how was your treatment overall throughout the day?
It wasn't very good, to be honest. I was about an hour and a half in handcuffs, which were really hurting. I already had a damaged elbow. They wouldn't loosen them. I felt that my hands were in the wrong position. They didn't even look, to be honest. They just kept saying, "No, we know what we're doing. Your hands are in the correct position." So when you're in handcuffs for an hour and a half, it's very unpleasant. Was then taken to Brixton Station. The officers at Brixton Station could then not even get the location of my arrest correct. They said I was on Stamford Street. I was actually on Southwark Street. I was then held in a very bright cell for 7 hours. Then after 7 hours they said, "Do you want your light turned down? Do you want a comfortable blanket? And do you want food?" And I turned it down. I said, "No, I want to get out of here as quickly as possible." I said, "I don't want anything from you." And then about 2 hours after that I was then released onto the streets of Brixton, being told, "It's a bit dangerous here this time of night. Have you got any means to get home?" And I was like, "I've got 50 quid in my pocket. I'll find my own way home." I was just so relieved to get out there. It was an absolute nightmare. The other thing which really gets me is I wasn't even interviewed in the police station. So I wasn't allowed to have my say. I've now just been thrown out to the court system to answer to a section 12 public order offence. When the offence really, the ultimate crime, was the destruction of an artwork from an artist that was actually backing away from police.
Yeah. So what was going through your head as they were approaching?
As they were approaching, it was, well, you can see from the video footage that's previously been seen by a lot of people now, that I was actually walking away, backing away from them. My ultimate idea was that the art was always going to be kind of my protection in a sense of protest, because I am on the front line. I hold them aloft a lot, so for them to actually destroy them in the way they did, yeah, it was quite shocking for me.
It's basically what the state does to art. They oppress art, they oppress free speech. Right the way through any corporate-controlled artwork, you will have a situation where the best scripts won't necessarily get picked. The scripts that serve their agendas will. And so the scripts that I could write to make films would never get made, because they would have messages of love and peace and conciliation in them. And so when someone like you comes along, making beautiful art that's about peace and love, and putting it in the government's faces as you do at Downing Street, as you've been allowed to before, I think it obviously irritates the state a lot.
Over the last sort of 13 years, I've been fighting for spaces in London so that they can remain full of art, vibrant. I've seen so many buskers literally just moved on, or, you know, kind of kicked out of the way by the authorities just because they don't want them there. And you've got little circles now that they paint for people in Trafalgar Square. And again, it's a little circle. It's another little pen that they put you into. And I kind of find it very offensive, to be honest.
And as the case of Ian Tomlinson shows, even if you're not an artist, even if you're not a protester, if you're a street vendor just trying to walk past the cops to go home like you always do, you might get pushed over and die. Yeah. And the hypocrisy of it really pisses me off, because they want to arrest people for saying bad words. They class that as assault themselves, but they now think that they can just go around shoving everybody all the time. And so many people were being shoved to the ground. It could have been another Ian Tomlinson.
It could have been.
On Saturday, easily.
My head could have hit the ground if my speaker hadn't saved me from hitting the ground full force. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, it really has shocked me to the core. And this piece now as well, it used to be called Statutory Love. It's now going to be called Bagged Democracy. So I'm looking to actually put it on a plinth outside of Tate, Britain, and I'm going to photograph the scales of justice behind it. so that basically as many people as possible can see that even when you go out with a peaceful, loving message with art, you are still likely to be attacked by military-style policing.
You're responding in the perfect way, because I know for myself that when I was attacked by doctors and big pharma, the only way I was going to get out of the situation, the only way I was going to get any better was if I responded to that attack instead of wallowing in a victimhood mentality.
Exactly
and here
that.
you are in
Exactly
Scotland
that.
Yard with your artwork, giving it to them,
Well,
basically.
to be honest, in a weird kind of way, I have to now flip the script because it's given me endless ideas for the next 1 or 2 years of protest. So I'm coming back even harder and stronger. And I want to put a massive shout out to all the freedom movement crew. Over the last 3 years, you've all been fantastic. And you've given me nothing but support, and you know why I'm there, because you've seen when it goes unpeaceful and what the police can do to people during lockdown, which I was absolutely shocked at. That was one of the things that moved me onto the street in a way that I'd never been moved before. And I'll continue to be there as long as I possibly can. And like I say, just keep an eye out for me, because I'm coming back harder and stronger from this.
Yeah, you're like Obi-Wan, man. They tried to strike you down, but you've come back more powerful than they could possibly imagine.
Exactly. That in a sentence. My ultimate message at the end of the day is, when it comes to street art and protest, if you make something that's an actual artwork on a canvas, it's not a throwaway banner, it's not a placard. You could even deny protest. You can get to stand in places you wouldn't believe that you can stand in just by the fact that it's an art piece. There is power there. I want to also leave you with a quote that I've come up with today. Protest art should not be limited to sitting on an East End wall or adorning the walls of elite galleries. Art should become your go-to carry. It needs to be at street level during all live protest.
Everybody's got that power to join you on the front line and make their own art. Everybody has it, and you show them that. Thanks for your work down the years, man. You're a brilliant protester and a brilliant artist.
Thank you. Always get what you want. I might have been arrested, but at the end of the day, when TSG come along and arrest you in the street just purely for an artwork,
Just vicious, eh?
that basically says, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace, and love is the law. It says it all. So I'm here in protest today. It shouldn't happen to anyone in the street with an artwork. So, go well. Anyway, you got a photo of it. Put up a photo of it. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
Love will always win, though.
It will.
Great.